To our Redox talk with the Shine Bright team. My name is Liz Chin-Seet and I'm very happy to share a breakthrough that can change your life. About 4 years ago, I was concerned about the telltale signs of aging, and I just want to share with you a little video screenshots. So this was me actually 3 years ago. I should have taken photos when I first started 4 years ago, but at the time I didn't know how to do selfies and it wasn't a thing, and yeah, it took me a while to get there. So actually, this was an improvement from where I was at in 2014. But I was concerned in 2014 with telltale signs of aging, and I was looking at things like dragon's blood serums and masks and things that you can get from a local pharmacy, freeze frame Protox. I was even looking at getting derma rolling, which was needling, where they put these fine needles all over your face. So I wasn't terribly vain, but I just was concerned that I wanted to halt the aging process. And then a friend who was actually a medical scientist introduced me to Renew 28, the gel, and I started experiencing really amazing things that I really doubted was actually working. But then my sister, whom I gave a tube to in December 2014, 3 days later, I gave it to her for Christmas. 3 days later, I checked with her and she had told me that this particular scar here that she'd had for 26 years was starting to soften, and that was just within 3 days. And I thought that was pretty amazing, because at the same time I had been using it for several months. I also noticed that scar tissue that I'd had in my ears from the age of 10, so I'd had them for over 40 years, were also softening, but I wasn't putting the gel on my earlobes. It was just my face, neck and décolletage. So when my sister started confirming that, I thought there must be something in this. I checked with her again in March 2015, and you can see the difference in just 3 months. This particular lump here under her, at her chin, has actually disappeared. And this particular scar is not quite obvious here, but it has actually flattened a fair bit. And you can just see the texture and the colour in her skin, and the deep and fine lines that she had, how much of an improvement it was. And then it took me actually about 4 years before my ears, the lumps had actually gone altogether, had flattened, and I was then able again to wear pierced ears. Prior to that, I'd attempted twice as an adult to have my ears pierced, but because I had so much lumpy tissue in there, I couldn't get the needles in straight, and I'd have to fiddle to try to get the earrings in, and then they would bleed and I would get infected, so I wasn't very successful. And it was only when I was introduced to the gel that I was able to deal with those issues. That I discovered, and people were recommending, use it for areas where you've got discomfort, and I've had long-term lower back pain issues since I was pregnant about 21 years ago, and seeing lots of therapists, which helped temporarily, but never long enough than 2 weeks. And when I was using the gel on my lower back, I don't need to see a practitioner as often as I used to. I've also then had a shoulder issue that was going to require cortisone injections, and I was really worried about that because I'd seen my mother experience it, and it wasn't long term, and a neighbour who had 2 operations on one shoulder, 3 on another, wasn't able to get relief either. And so I started using the gel on my elbow area and shoulder area, and then found within several months that I was putting on my shoulder and wondering why I was doing it. And I remembered that several months before I had had this issue, and I didn't even know when it had resolved. Then the liquid became available to us, and lots of people were saying how amazing it was to stop bleeding, and I'm prone to cutting myself a fair bit in the kitchen. And in this case, I thought, well, I'm going to try this. So I quickly poured some of the liquid into this little cup and stuck my finger in. And this was actually the second cup of liquid, because the first one very quickly became clouded, and I wanted to see exactly what was happening. So I threw that one in, threw that away, poured a second cup, and you can see how the blood is actually congealed in the bottom. And if this was any other liquid like water, that blood would be just dissipated throughout the liquid, and it would not be gelling. So, and then within several days, I didn't need stitches for that, and it was amazing the healing, how quickly the healing was. And then finally I was able to use it on my daughter. She had a car accident where the car was written off, and she was so shocked and stunned she didn't even know whether she'd hit her head or was injured. While we were waiting for the tow truck, I applied the gel on her face, neck, shoulders, and upper and lower back, because I knew that with the impact she would have had her head thrown forward and back quite quickly, and I knew that she would, at the very least get a headache or a bit of tension, if not worse, injury. But she was quite fine, and then I decided several hours later that I really should take her to the hospital just to get her checked out in case there was something that we weren't aware of. She still hadn't had any pain by then, because by then we'd used about a tube of the gel. But as we were waiting in the hospital, seeing the doctor with the air condition and everything, she started coughing. And when she started coughing, she started to experience pain across her chest. And the doctor said, well, that's likely from the seatbelt, and to expect to have bruising for, up to 3 weeks following the accident. So then we started to apply the gel liberally along her chest and shoulder, and the next morning she woke up, which was the day of her 18th birthday party, and she had no bruises, no pain whatsoever. So that's my story, and it was amazing for me how such minor things could be resolved so quickly and easily, and it was great to be able to use it, both products, as my first aid. So I'm hoping you can see me back again.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, great. So tonight we're going to hear from Nicole Dennis about the experiences that she's had. But before we start, I want to invite you to think about a few questions to get in touch with what you're feeling and looking for in your life. Perhaps you have a health challenge or know of someone with a health challenge that needs help. Would you like to reduce the visible signs of aging, just as I did? Or do you perhaps need more energy to do what you love? Maybe you're an athlete or a sports person. You're looking for improved performance or being able to perform the way you did years ago. Or perhaps you're looking for more time and or money freedom and a better lifestyle. So to really live well, we all need two basic things. You need a body that can do whatever you ask it to do, and enough money, of course, to be able to do some great things. To have that body, maybe you're exercising, you might be watching your diet or taking nutritional supplements. You might be doing everything you can think of, or you might not be doing anything at all. But frustratingly, no matter what you do, as you age, your cells respond less effectively to all of these strategies. Your cells naturally begin to break down, producing energy less efficiently and repairing themselves more slowly. If your cells could just be a little bit more efficient, your exercise, your nutrition, supplementation, and everything else you do could be more effective. You could be healthier, longer, with less effort. Several years ago, scientists made a groundbreaking discovery. They identified molecules natively produced inside your body that help your cells to repair and regenerate. And once they discovered this, they spent years of research and development to try to figure out how to produce these molecules outside of the body so that we could use them as a nutritional supplement. The result is a molecular technology that helps your cells work better. And when your cells work better, everything works better. Your exercise and your diet efforts become more productive. Nutritional supplementation works better, you feel better, you look better, you sleep better, and you have more energy. So now we're going to hear from our special guest, Nicole. Nicole is an entrepreneur running a global business with her husband, Justin. She's mum to a very active 2-year-old daughter, Joy, and has overcome decades of tiredness to not only run this global business now, but even before in her private enterprise life, had a fairly responsible and demanding profession as well. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, Liz.
So would you like to share with us what your life was like before you started using ASEA and what you had been doing previously?
Yeah, sure. So I had always had a lot of health challenges growing up. So when I was very small, I had a lot of breathing issues, and I would be taken to the emergency room 2 to 3 nights a week until I was 5. And then I just, had a few challenges. But when I was 13, I got quite sick and I had 6 weeks off school. And that was the start of me experiencing fatigue that just I had all the time. Like I would go through bouts where I was very, very tired, very, very exhausted. And I could never really resolve this issue. And then I went to university. I started my career and I was working in the corporate world and I had a professional job, and it was like kind of my first job out of university, and it was going very well in terms of my career, but I was getting really unwell again, really fatigued. So I went and I saw all these different doctors and I went to see a specialist, and this was in 1997. I went to see a specialist and it was like $150 to go and see the specialist, which was a lot of money back then. And I remember I sat in his office and he said, "You just need to go home and lie in bed for 6 weeks." And I was like, "Are you serious? Like that is like the stupidest advice that I have ever heard." Like I'm completely type A personality. I'm like, that's just not going to work for me. So I started to explore different types of natural therapies and natural medicine. And I was 21 at this time. So I started to have acupuncture. And when I started, I had acupuncture twice a week, and I took all those foul Chinese herbs, and I continued to have acupuncture once a fortnight until I started drinking a Sia, which was many, many years later. That was in 2011. So many years. So I started my acupuncture in like 1997, and I started and had it every 2 weeks. So I would have to go all of the time and I'd have to keep up with my acupuncture. At the time when I found out about a Sia, I'd been seeing a very well-respected acupuncturist, actually the professor of the acupuncture school here in Brisbane. So she's one of the most respected acupuncturists in the Southern Hemisphere. She normally sees people 3 to 5 times, and then she only sees you every 6 months. She saw me every 2 weeks for 2.5 years. She's just like, "You just need to come back," she'd say in her very broken English, because she was Chinese, even though she's lectured Australian and English speaking students. She had that kind of like real accent and everything still. And she's like, "You just have to keep coming back." And at this time, my husband, he also owned a health food store. So I was taking all these superfoods. I was taking like $500 a month worth of like superfoods and Asahi powders and all this stuff out of his health food store. And I'd go there and have like extra treatments of some of the therapists that work for him, as well as driving to Brisbane to see this acupuncturist. And someone said, "You should try this product." These friends of ours rang and said, "You should try this product that we found when we were in America." And I'm like, "What is it?" They're like, "It's called a Sia." And I'm like, "Well, send me some." And they're like, so I organized, and it was very expensive because it wasn't available in Australia. They sent me some over. I had no idea what it was. Not a clue. Didn't know it was redox. Didn't know it was cell signaling. No idea. I just thought, sure, I'll try it. And I didn't think it would do anything. I'm like, I've tried everything. Like when you own a health food shop, you get every sample of every new product that comes on the market. But anyway, I thought I'd try it. So I started to drink it, and I just drank 60 mils or 2 ounces twice a day. And in 3 weeks, my fatigue completely resolved. Like completely resolved. Like I didn't have it anymore. And I was like, I didn't even know what it felt like to feel like that. I've had acupuncture a handful of times since I started drinking a Sia, so I don't have to go and have acupuncture anymore. I've had it a couple of times when I've like hurt myself, or when I was like pregnant, I went and had it a couple of times, and that's it. So pretty amazing.
So were you still taking all the other supplements and having the acupuncture while you were taking the liquid?
I think I had it like once. I had acupuncture once when I started taking it, because I was like, have my appointment booked, but then I just didn't feel like I needed to go back. And I kept taking my supplements because I didn't think it would do anything, right? And I'm like, I need those supplements so I can like work. And then I just gradually took a lot less of them. So I was just taking like, basic kind of like nutritional supplementation, like basic like multivitamin type stuff, but not like, I used to make like these shakes with like every like potion, superfood, like everything that you could get. Like I would like pack it all in these like shakes so that I could, have some energy, like have like some energy. So yeah, I just gradually noticed that I didn't really need to take it anymore. Like I was like, I don't need all that stuff now.
So that was just taking the liquid, 2 doses a day, which is 60 mils or 2 ounces.
twice a day.
And that from 3 weeks you already had a benefit.
Yeah, like I was like, wow, I'm like not tired at all anymore. I have no fatigue. It was amazing. Absolutely
And, I
amazing.
mean, we know that some people, when they start to take it, have a detox effect, you know, where they might sometimes regress or actually feel a little bit worse with their condition. That didn't happen with you?
I'm not, and I have done so many detoxifications over the years to like crazy juice fasts that I used to do, those gallbladder flush. I mean, I would do everything to try and resolve my health challenges.
Yeah.
And they would like make me feel better for a couple of months, and then everything would just like return, like all of the symptoms would just return, and I would not feel well again. And like I could like be having a glass of wine sometimes when I was really in a really bad dip, and I would like have a hangover before I finished drinking a glass of wine. Like that's, my body was like not working very well.
Did you ever pinpoint or find out why you had that condition?
I have like kind of worked it out now, many years after, that it was actually viruses. So Epstein-Barr, cytomegalovirus, and other viral conditions. Yeah, quite severe. And Western medicine doesn't really understand it. They can progress to be quite severe and quite systemic in the body, and that's what had happened with me.
So, do you think if other people were suffering from a similar issue, being chronically tired, would it matter what was the cause of it? Do you think it would still help regardless of the cause of that?
I've seen it help other people. Actually, I was in Sydney, and we had a lovely couple come to our event, and she had also had this condition, suffering from fatigue, and was in bed, and she couldn't work and was really in a very bad way. And she shared with us that after drinking a Sia, she's back to like working almost full time, and she has like energy. So yeah, I've seen it a lot of times with people, and that it just gets a label by Western medicine, but they just label it as a certain label that you've probably heard before, but they don't have anything for you. They're just like rest, or like they don't have any solution for you. Or sometimes they'll want to give you antidepressants because they think that, I don't know what that's meant to do to help, because you're not like depressed, you're just like
they think it's all in your head.
So
And what about, apart from the tiredness, what other symptoms did you have? Was there brain fog or lack of clarity? What else were you experiencing?
I would say they're probably like I've always been kind of sharp in that way, but after I started drinking a Cia, I had a lot more clarity. I had like so many digestive issues though. Like I couldn't eat out. Like it used to frustrate my husband so much, because he'd be like, let's go out to a restaurant. I'm like, I can't go out to a restaurant. It'll make me like sick for 3 days if we go out to a restaurant. Like I'm like, I cannot do it. Because they just put like something in the food, and I would be so unwell from it. So that was something that's something I don't have anymore. And I remember before a Cia, one time we went down to a friend of Justin's birthdays, and we had sushi, and I was eating like vegetarian sushi, and I had like the pickled ginger on it, and I was so sick. I looked at it, it had like aspartame in the pickled ginger, and I literally did not have a bowel motion for 5 days, and I knew I'd had a bad food reaction. And I went to like the health food store, and I got probiotics, and I got like colon cleanse stuff, and I'm like, I was like sick for 5 days, like digestive. So that used to happen to me. Like it was like really, so I'd have to be very careful with what I ate. Yeah.
So as well as the fatigue and the clarity and your digestive system, all those things have improved.
Yeah, totally. Like now, like I still try and like really, I don't like to eat like processed things and things with preservatives and stuff like that. But if I travel, which I travel a lot, and I do eat something like that, like I don't end up like sick for such a like long time. It like might be like a couple of hours that I don't feel great for, instead of like a few days. So, and that's only if I eat like something GMO or something like really stupid. which I try not to do. So
yeah, yeah. And so for those of us who know you, I mean, you're an absolute dynamo. So I would say that all those years of fatigue and all that has definitely gone, and you're definitely making up for it now.
mm-hmm.
But how else has it made a difference in your life?
I think like it's just like having more energy. It's like it's really like makes you really upset when you feel like that all the time and you never think you're going to feel any different. Like it's really kind of disturbing, and like I didn't want to like have children or anything like that because I was like I can't even imagine. Like I'm so tired. So yeah, it opens up a lot more possibilities when you don't have that fatigue, because you're like, I can do this, I can, you know, have a family, I can do other things, I can like take on other projects and yeah, not have to like spend my weekends like resting. Like I can go out and like do stuff that I like to do on the weekends and have fun, maybe go to a few parties, have some wines, have a few wines and having a bit of a fun time, having a bit of a dance off, that kind of thing. It's pretty fun. So, you know, and not having to like do something and then like spend a really long time recovering from it is fantastic.
So you can relive your youth.
Yeah, relive my youth.
Right. Thank you so much, Nicole. It was very interesting. It's very hard to imagine you having been like that person, because you know the Nicole we know now certainly isn't anything like that. Not only are you doing great things for yourself, but you're doing great things for thousands of other people.
I was very good at hiding it. I was very good at hiding it.
Yeah, you don't need to hide it anymore.
No.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your story. And I just want to let the audience know that ASEA products are not intended to diagnose, treat or cure any condition, but they do empower cellular communication and therefore your cellular function and efficiency. If you want to find out more about ASEA and the products, then please get back to the person who invited you to watch this presentation, and they will let you know how you can get started and have your own redox experience. There are several ways that you can get products also. You can either pay retail or get your own wholesale account like most of us do. So we only have to pay wholesale prices. We get it delivered directly to us. We can order whenever we like. And for those of you who are using it on a regular basis, you can even earn free products. Next week, we'll have another redox talk. Not too sure of the subject yet, but the same time, same place. On Wednesday night, so every Wednesday night, we also have another presentation with an Australian redox expert. And they talk more about the company, about the products and science and business. So if you're interested in that as well, ask the person who invited you here to give you the details of that. So please come along next week and on Wednesdays, come along, invite people who you care about, who you really think need to know about these products, and share the information. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us tonight, and thank you again, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Liz. You're amazing. You did a great job.
Thank you, ladies. Well done.